Hey everybody, Rocco Castellano here from AskRocco.com with Jason Hunter, RD, registered a dietitian and the creator of the carb rotation diet that can be had at carbrotationdiet.com. Now Jason, we've done a bunch of these on our videos after a while now, and one thing I, kind of forgot to ask you about, which is like one of the funniest things, is I really want to know. Now I know about like the carb rotation diet, but I don't think that many people really understand what that means and what you're actually doing, because rotating carbs, to me, as like, let's say a lay person or the average person, okay, well, you're rotating carbs, but what does that mean? Is it daily? Is it monthly? Is it, by the minute? I mean, so what happens there actually?
Well, really, in general, most people overeat their carbohydrate intake. And it's not, if everyone ate good carbs, it'd probably be a little different, but we primarily...
Okay, wait. Stop right there. Good carbs, bad carbs.
I'm going to get to that.
Okay. Look at me.
I know, you're stealing
I'm totally jumping ahead of
my thunder here. So, most people eat bad carbs, and the bad carbs are processed foods, packaged foods, refined white flours. If you look on a lot of these food labels and what people tend to eat, what I call boxed foods, from the center of the store, of a grocery store. If you look, the number one ingredient most of the time is white enriched flour or refined white flour. And so that is a processed carbohydrate. We tend to eat too much of that stuff, and then we don't eat enough lean proteins, vegetables, and fiber. And when you look at how the body absorbs all these nutrients, let's just use for the simple example of a donut. That's a processed refined carb. If I just ate a donut...
Very yummy.
Very good, yes. I would agree with that. But what happens when you eat that donut by itself is your body will recognize that all of a sudden there's all this sugar coming into the blood. And its job is to get that sugar out of the blood so that your body can maintain normal homeostasis and function correctly. So it starts sending out insulin. It doesn't know how much sugar you've eaten, by the way. It just knows that it got this huge rush all of a sudden, and it needs to start getting that stuff out of the blood. So what happens is, my blood sugars are here, and I eat this donut, and my blood sugars jump up here. I start sending out all this insulin, not knowing exactly, am I going to keep eating? Because the other tip, or the other problem is, it takes your body about 20 to 25 minutes to recognize it has food in the stomach, and to be able to tell you that you're full.
Right.
How many of us are still eating at 20 minutes? Very few. It's shovel it in, done. And then all of a sudden you get this, oh, I'm stuffed, oh, I ate too much. Well, that's your body now saying, hey, we've had enough food, you can stop now.
Hey, stupid.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you've been on the couch for 10 minutes, and now you're feeling stuffed because your body's just recognizing that you've eaten food when you've really eaten too much food. So what happens is, if we get back to the blood sugar point, it's all the way up here, and we keep sending out all this insulin. Well, it'll pull out too much blood sugar. In the sugar in the blood, because it'll send out too much insulin and it'll drop your blood sugars lower.
Like a rock, right? Yeah. Sure.
So what happens is your body now sends out a signal saying, hey, we got low blood sugars, you need to eat food.
We need more.
What happens? And then you keep
vicious
doing that
cycle,
all
and
day.
Like you're getting tired, and then with that donut, you want coffee, and that's where like the whole coffee donut thing came in, because the donut makes you tired.
Well, you're getting tired, so it means you don't want to exercise. Your body, when it has all this sugar, it needs to do something with it. So, again, if you're getting tired, you're lounging on the chair or on the couch, it has to do something with it, so it's going to store it. If it can't burn it off, it's going to store it. Well, it stores it as fat. So, when you eat like that, which a lot of people do, you tend to store more calories as fat, and your metabolism's a mess, and your calories are a mess because you got blood sugars bouncing all over the place, and your body doesn't know what to do with all this stuff. Instead, if you were to eat what I would call good carbs, and good carbs are carbs that are not just plain sugar or refined sugar, but more of a whole grain sugar that and a whole grain carb that incorporates fiber. If you ate a whole grain piece of bread or a piece of white bread, that whole grain bread, most people know, is much heavier. It's much thicker and denser than the white bread.
Well, and you can't push it together like I used to do when I was a kid.
Because it's whole grain.
Bread,
It's whole grain. And that means that it has a lot of fiber in there. Fiber helps control that spike in blood sugar.
Right.
It helps slow down the absorption of those nutrients. So your body can better metabolize and better utilize those calories you're eating. Same with when you combine lean protein. And the same thing happens. You have a slower rise in your blood sugar levels. And the fear with most people is, I can't eat carbs, they make me fat. You know, and you mentioned the media. The media will hone in on something just to make it a good story.
Oh, right.
Even if it's not accurate. They'll just pick one piece and just harp, and all of a sudden people think, oh, well, that's got to be true. The media's talking about it, which...
Sound bites kill us.
Oh, it's horrible.
They totally kill us.
It's horrible. Because if the media would have done their homework, they, instead of saying, you can't eat carbs because they store calories as fat, they should have said, you can't eat carbs by themselves. If you incorporate fiber and vegetables and fruit and lean protein into that carb meal, your body will utilize those carbs efficiently and you won't be storing them as fat. And those are the parts that, because it's not a great story title, they don't talk about that stuff.
Well, and the body needs carbohydrates because it's actually a protein sparing.
Mm-hmm.
When you're lifting weights, you do need carbohydrates so that...
Well, when you're activity, you know, when you're exercising, your body's first choice of energy is carbohydrates or sugar.
Right, and you need it. I mean, so the body does need it. And when you deprive your body of the carbohydrates, then it looks for other energy sources that are not necessarily the best.
Exactly.
You know, any car will run on something that's a petroleum based. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're supposed to be pouring Quaker State motor oil in your gas tank.
It'll break down after a while.
Right.